All right, you can check out YouTube right now and watch the show. That's our webcast. Go to YouTube. Most of you have the app on your phone. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Got a Southern Miss helmet up here. I've got to get a Jackson State helmet. Hopefully our next guest can help me out with that. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by Southern Bound Outdoors. Hunting season is here. They'll get you going. Southern Bound Outdoors. Jeffrey Bounds, the owner at Southern Bound Outdoors in Canton. All your camo and hunting needs at Southern Bound Outdoors. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. This is the Out of Bounds Show. We welcome in our friend, Mr. Jackson State University, the legend himself. He is Rob J. on the Parish Brewing guest line. Rob, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bo. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, bud. So have you had, like, permagrin for 48 hours since Dion Sanders was named the head football coach at your alma mater?
It's been wild, man. When it first came out that Coach Hendricks had been fired and the rumor was that Dion Sanders was going to be the next head coach, I was like, yeah, right. Because I didn't think Jackson State could pay him, but it happened, man, and it's been crazy here on campus. I mean, wild.
And Jackson State needed that. They needed this infusion of excitement and to get everybody going again. Of course, primetime and Deion, one of the biggest names in football the last 40 years. Have you heard how much he's getting paid, Rob?
They won't really say how much he's getting paid. Now, Coach Hendricks was getting paid a little over $200,000, close to $300,000. So there's rumors he's getting $400,000, he's getting $500,000, but nobody has really, it hadn't really been released how much he's getting paid.
Gotcha. What'd you make about the press conference and all that? Tell me.
The one yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was so many. You know what? In all the years I've gone to Jackson State press conference, you got just the local stations there. Okay. Yesterday, you had people that I had never seen before, man. I mean, I was like, where these people come from? But and he answered every question. I asked him the first question about his coaching staff, and he said this is what he said, but he said the coaching staff has been in place for 3 months. I'm like, 3 months? So this deal been in the works for 3 months? So, and he said he didn't want to release any names because some of those guys are still working at colleges, and he didn't want to get them in any trouble.
Okay. Now, are you buying the Terrell Owens, Warren Sapp rumors?
No.
Okay.
No. And let me tell you. I got those rumors too. And people are saying all kind of things, man. That I saw T.O. on the campus. I saw him on the plaza. But even and bless Joe Cook's heart. Joe is the one who tweeted that out with Channel 16, and he got a lot of backlash from it.
Right.
But even if Joe knew those names, he shouldn't have released it because Deion had said in the press conference, I don't want those guys to get in trouble. I don't want to release the names yet. And wherever he got that list from, and like I said, I got that list too, but I didn't release it because I didn't believe it. You got Warren Sapp on there. You got T.O. on there. Who else he had? He had some other people. But no, I never believed it. I never believed I got to have a legitimate source to tell me that those guys are coming.
Right.
And then Warren Sapp, he kind of bad-mouthed Mississippi too, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't like that, by the way.
Oh, I didn't like that either.
Yeah. Well, all right. So back to primetime and Deion. So Ashley Robinson, who, this is a splash hire. There's some risk. There's an enormous amount of excitement. I expect an influx of cash and season ticket holders maybe that had been season ticket holders that have checked out to check back in. Do you expect that, Rob, to see people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they're already asking.
All right.
Already asking when
Good.
they buy tickets.
Good.
People from other schools want tickets. So this may be it may be a little bit hectic for Jackson State, but it's going to be a good hectic because the season ticket sales would definitely grow. People are already asking for passes, So yeah, I think it's going to be a win-win for Jackson State.
All right, Rob J. on the Out of Bounds Show, WRKS 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Prime time is the new head football coach at Jackson State. Rob, do you believe that they are you buying they'll have a season in the spring, or do you think that will fall apart and the next time Jackson State will play football is next Labor Day next year?
No, I think they'll have a season in the spring. They wanted to do it in the fall, but the SWAC commissioner was a little bit nervous, and they just, they pulled out. But I think they will have a season in the spring. As a matter of fact, at the press conference yesterday, Deion said there will be football played. He's looking forward to getting some players in for the spring season. But it's going to be kind of, it's going to be weird to go from spring and then go right back to fall. I hope nobody really gets hurt too bad, man.
Sure.
They are getting ready to play in the spring.
So maybe an abbreviated type schedule, Rob? Instead of 12 games, maybe 8 or 10, or have you heard?
Oh, yeah, 6. There'll be 6 games. They have the schedule already. They have 6, and they added one game in February, so they'll have 7. They'll have 7 games.
Okay. Well, I think that's hopefully manageable, and then give the team a couple of months off, and then I guess rev it back up in the summer, right?
Right. And one thing in March, mid-March, every school in the SWAC has that week off because they're going to allow everybody to go to the SWAC basketball tournament in March. I was like, what?
That's so funny. That's okay. Where do you know where it is this year or in the spring?
The SWAC basketball tournament?
Yes.
It'll be at the first couple of rounds will be at the home of the top 4 teams, and then it'll be played in Birmingham.
Okay, that's interesting. Blake, you have a question for Mr. Jackson State, Rob J? All right.
Yeah, Rob, as you know, fans are super logical and never rush to conclusions or react, over the top to wins or losses or hirings or firings. So, with Deion being hired at Jackson State, other than stealing, every SEC recruit in the state, what's the realistic, actual projection for how he's going to impact J-State from a talent perspective, the excitement is palpable, but you got to carry that to potentially a spring season, which won't start for 9 months. Or if that doesn't happen, you're talking about a 12-month, of all the minutia and none of the fun for primetime. Right. So what's he going to accomplish in the offseason that will give Jackson State fans an actual reason to see, the light at the end of the tunnel?
And the thing about it, Jackson State fans you're going to get recruits from Alcorn. They're going to start coming to Jackson State and blah, blah, blah. So somebody asked him at the press conference yesterday, will you be recruiting, will you take players from Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin? And he said, I'm not recruiting against those guys. I'm not recruiting against Alcorn. He said, I just want to find the best players that I can find. And that's what I liked about him. He didn't badmouth Mississippi State or Ole Miss or Southern Miss. He didn't badmouth any school. But, other coaches will come in there and tell the fans what they want to hear. Yeah, we're going to beat Alcorn. We're going to win, and that's what I liked about him. He never mentioned Alcorn or beating, Southern Miss. But I think he's going to get a lot of players. I really do, because what he said was that kind of resonated with everybody was the players he said from now on, players from Jackson State can start going to the NFL. And that's what they want to hear.
Sure. I mean, it used to be Payton, Slater, Lim Barney, Robert Brazil, Jimmy Smith, and so on, and many others. Rob J. on the Out of Bounds Show talking primetime. Dion Sanders, the new head football coach for Jackson State. Ashley Robinson makes a bold move, a big move, and you'll see, more season ticket holders, money coming into the program, and then hopefully wins on the field. We need Jackson State to be good. Speaking of, who's your favorite Jackson State football player? Who's Rob J's favorite? It may be Walter, but who's your favorite Jackson State football player of all time?
No doubt it's Walter Payton.
Okay.
I'm a fan of the Chiefs, but Man, I love Walter Payton. Watching him when I was little, going to Jackson State games at the stadium, and but yeah, I thought he was just great. He could throw the football, he could kick the football. I also, I tell you who else I like, man. He didn't play at Jackson State long. His name was Jimmy Oliver. He was a quarterback. He transferred from a JUCO. He was amazing. They called him Black Magic, but he was a really good quarterback. But I did, man. I love watching Walter Payton, and in fact, during that time when he played with the Bears, and this was before DirecTV and all of this.
Sure.
We would always have to watch the Saints. You know, Channel 12 always showed the Saints, and I was like, no, man, I want to see Walter Payton. We had to, and the Saints were really bad then. They're good now, but they were bad then. So, and that's how I developed a hatred for the Saints. But not
I love you, Rob. I hate the Saints too.
Oh,
yes.
Gosh.
Let's unite in our hatred.
We have two personalities in the Jackson metro area that just upset the Who Dat Nation. But I was with you too, Rob. When I was a kid in the 80s, I was like, do we have to watch the Saints again? Good grief. And I was a big Walter Payton fan, and I got to go to that Super Bowl in the 80s. But yeah, I'm with you on Walter Payton. Jackie Slater, incredible. Lots of great players coming out of J-State. W.C. Gordon. I mean, man, that guy's an absolute legend, Rob J. I'm not sure people understand how good a football coach he is or was. Do you agree?
Oh, man, no doubt. What, during the 80s, the mid-80s, when I first came to Jackson State as a student, they didn't lose a SWAC game at all for like 3 years. That will never happen again. And you know, the SWAC was really good back then.
Yeah, Eddie Robinson, Grambling.
Yeah. Coach Gordon didn't lose a SWAC game, man. And he, in fact, when I was getting into this business, when I was a student at Jackson State, he was the first person I ever interviewed in sports. And he was so kind and he was cordial. And, you know, they recently named a park after him in Jackson, which was really, really good. You know, he's getting a little bit older right now, but man, I love Coach Gordon. He was a really, really good coach. And Jackson State at that, I would tell you this, they made a big mistake when they fired him.
No question.
They made a big mistake, man. I think they went 7-4. They went 7-4 2 or 3 years in a row, and they fired him. And they really hadn't been the same since.
No. Look, by the way, Rob J nailed it. In 1986, 87, and 88, Jackson State did not lose a SWAC game. I want y'all to think about how difficult that is, regardless of conference. Coach Gordon went 21-0 over a 3-year stretch. I mean, Rob, that's incredible.
Man, that is super incredible. Like I said, I don't think that's going to be duplicated again. And I don't think people really can stop to realize and just like, whoa, look what he did. They didn't lose a game for 3 years, man, in the SWAC. So, but you know, his stigma was that he couldn't win outside the SWAC, and I think that playoff record is 0-19, 0-20, or something like that.
Mm.
But I hope Jackson State get back to the playoffs, though.
Me too.
I mean, the SWAC. I mean.
Me too. Coach Gordon had 8 SWAC championships. That's remarkable right there. Rob J on the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. So, you're like always on the move. And so are you thrown off that you don't have football games to call?
Man, I really hate to say this, but it's kind of like a break for me. It's been a break, man. This is the first time in the fall that I have not covered a football game or announced a Jackson State football game. So it's been a break, and I mean, I really hate what happened, you know, with this virus or this whatever it is. But it's given me a little break.
Okay,
kind of appreciative to it, man.
Have you heard anything on Jackson State basketball getting started, or is that delayed into the spring, or what's the latest on that? I haven't heard.
No, they're practicing right now, and as far as we know, they will start on time. They will start I think they pushed it back a week. So they'll start October in November. I think they'll start in November.
Okay.
So they kind of pushed it back a little bit because of it.
Have you talked to Snacks lately?
Oh my goodness! It is ironic you mentioned that. Okay, Bo, check this out. We at the big, you know, when Deion came in with the motorcycles and the Cadillac and the highway patrolman, So I'm interviewing people about him coming, and I turn around, there's Snacks standing there. He said, you want to interview me? I said, no, man. Get away from me, Snacks. Because I said, Snacks, I said, it's all those people that interviewed you, Good Morning America, and all of these places you've been, you never thanked JSU TV one time. Because if it were not for JSU TV, nobody would ever heard of you, Snacks. We got that shot. And he said, I'll do it next time. I was not, it won't be a next time.
Oh, man.
I just gave him a hard time, man.
I do need you, Rob, to orchestrate a Deion Sanders Snacks promo.
Ooh,
a la like
yes.
WWF 1998.
Yes. Ashley Robinson and Jackson State, and Rob J, and everybody in the kind of athletic department, communications and marketing have to do some kind of, promo skit with Primetime and Snacks.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to tell you guys this now. Jackson State may be on the back burner when it comes to him because he has his own entourage. So he had not only is there Jackson State Sports Information Director, but he has his own personal person who sets his schedule up. So it's hard to get a hold of him. It really is. I haven't seen anything like this.
Speaking of entourage, and I'll just throw this one out there too because I'm full of good ideas. We said this on the show yesterday. You guys need to do a Hard Knocks of Jackson State and Deion.
Yes.
And
Rob, that'd be awesome.
His entourage is going to get on that first if you don't act quick, and I want you to narrate it, Rob. Like, you could be the voice of Jackson State Hard Knocks.
Man, you guys, you know what? You guys must be over here. You guys are on campus. I did Hard Knocks with Coach Hendricks last year. Okay, our crew at JSU TV, we did Hard Knocks with Coach Hendricks. Okay. They wanted us to do it again, right? Okay. With Coach Hendricks, but Coach Hendricks got fired. So I go to the people that asked me, the athletic people that asked me to do the Hard Knocks on Coach Hendricks. I said, now, do you guys want us to still do the Hard Knocks with Deion? Well, his people are going to do that. His own people are going to. So they just kicked us to the curb.
No. Rob J has to be.
You're the voice of Jackson State.
You've got to be the voice. His PR team has to understand that Rob J has to be the voice of Hard Knocks with Dion Sanders at Jackson State.
So we'll still negotiate that, man. But man, you guys hit that on the head. We talked about that last night, in fact.
Yes,
I love this. All right, so this could be, Veterans Memorial. I mean, this could turn into a destination. Yeah, and then all the bars and restaurants around it could benefit, and because there's just a lot of flash and excitement around prime time. All right, let's segue here and discuss your Kansas City Chiefs real quick. How about my guy Chris Jones, Rob J?
I love him, man. I love him. He made a big mistake in the game last week. This past game, we tackled the quarterback low, but it wasn't. And they called a personal foul on him. But man, I was so happy that they were able to make a deal with him for him to stay, man. I liked him when he was at Mississippi State. So I love him, man.
Heck of a player. We had, I think John Ledyard on he's NFL Draft Scout Network, and he said that Chris Jones is the second best defensive lineman in the NFL behind Aaron Donald. How about that?
Wow. Yeah, I could believe it. And what I like about Chris, if he can't get the sack of the quarterback, he'll bat that ball down.
Sure.
He got those long arms. So, yeah, I love him, man. I was like praying the Chiefs kept him.
Well, he's 6'6" and got the wingspan of like a power forward in the NBA. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
All right, dude. Well, you're the best. We appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. And I know you're excited, as you should be. I hope that this all lines up and great things happen over there. So be good. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay, buddy. Rob J.
Okay.
Long time, 20 years at WLBT, Jackson State alum, now Mr. Jackson State on the Out of Bounds show and the Parish Brewing guest line discussing primetime Dion Sanders. I mean, Deion, I mentioned this yesterday, Blakey Blakester. The Deion was a brand in college.
Yeah.
Deion understood the microphone,
yep,
the camera, the ability to sell himself in Florida State. And it just, this guy was I knew about him in the 80s when we didn't get as many games.
Yeah.
And then he looked so awesome. Deion, does this make sense? Like, he wore the uniform and it looked cool on him?
He was swaggy.
Yeah.
I would say
and of course he was super fit. Well, and he was a two-sport star already.
Yes.
And then to parlay that into the Atlanta Braves thing.
You played like the only position on defense at the time because edge rushers weren't what they are now.
Right.
Like that cornerback / return man was still a premier like celebrity position for the NFL or for the defensive side of the football. I put him like he and Boz are the two guys that when I think of pre-2000s like independent characters in college football, they're the only two that I can like definitively say created their own brand. Now we've seen like Tebow had his own brand. I think you're on to something
because I was a kid during this time, so I was about 13, and I think there were only two personalities in college football in the 80s.
I mean, really, even into the 90s, too.
Brian Bosworth and Dion Sanders.
Yeah.
And neither one of them played one offense and two quarterback, believe it or not. Now we're all about Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Tua.
But you weren't about quarterbacks
Baker, Kyler.
Until Spurrier, nobody on the mainstream was doing anything where a quarterback could be a star.
No, because they handed the football off.
Yeah, that's why Bo Jackson existed. That's why Herschel Walker. I mean, those were your guys, but those guys were boring.
Okay, the Hurricanes had their problem was they had almost too many. So even like Michael Irvin couldn't.
He didn't stand out.
He didn't stand out. Dion Sanders at Florida State and the Boz at Oklahoma were mega personalities.
Yes, they were independent brands.
And they understood the microphone. Yes. People gravitated to watching them. They never saw a camera they didn't like.
Yeah.
And
now you see guys develop brands early on. I mean, Minshew's a perfect example of that.
No doubt.
When he got the opportunity, he was ready. Obviously, his look, his persona is unique. He took that and ran with it, and now it's it's a brand.
I mean, he made Washington State Cougars
watchable
and cool
and entertaining.
I mean, nobody thought that Washington State would ever be cool.
And
then Game Day showed up there.
Yeah, they're one Larry Scott screw job away from playing for a Pac-12 championship.
No doubt. Brian Bosworth and Dion Sanders. That was my wheelhouse, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was anyone else.
There's nobody who had singularity brand value. No independent name. Even pre-2000.
Even
look in the 90s.
Notre Dame, not Rocket. Gives me no,
there's nobody.
There really wasn't. It was Boz and Dion. I mean, Bo Jackson and Herschel were big in the early 80s.
But there wasn't brand there.
Yeah, and they weren't. In front of the microphone, Dion and the Boz owned the microphone. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone is brought to you by Juniker Jewelers. Juniker Jewelers in Madison. We'll tell you more about them straight ahead. Hour number 3 coming up.